Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
This is playing with fire. We don't know when the markets will react to this. You can't say it'll be no sooner than next Thursday. I worry on Monday that when the American markets open, maybe because of this vote, that they will start worrying, and not only will the stock market go down, but interest rates go up and the value of the value of U.S. Treasuries decline. It's very serious. And it would have been a whole lot better if we just put this aside and had a 100-0 vote to pay our bills. That didn't happen.
All right, folks, welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show. It is Monday once again. That was Chuck Schumer yesterday. Well, of course, at the start of trading today, the market did not go down, and of course he gave the hand motion because someone once taught him hand motions. He looks like one of those white guys who can't dance. The interest rates did not go up, and the dollar has not been devalued at the opening of the market today. We have an hour to go before the close of the market today, and here's where we are. He was talking about a vote that took place in the Senate which did not meet the 60-vote threshold, so nothing got done. Now, we have a Senate compromise that might be attainable. As we speak, the president is meeting at the White House with Republican leaders and Democratic leaders. Earlier today, the president with an apron on at a food pantry, again, just like Schumer, trying to talk the markets down, talked about how, quote, we stand a good chance of default, and blamed Republicans. Joining us now is one of those Republicans that the president, I'm sure, would be blaming, and that's my Congressman Scott Garrett, Republican from New Jersey. Hello, sir.
Hello, and it's good to talk to you.
Well, it's always good to talk to you. Okay, so first of all, when you hear Schumer say what he says, and I'm worried about Monday morning, interest rates will soar and the market will go down, and Obama, we stand a good chance of default if only the Republicans wake up and get off all their demands. I mean, that's hardly the tone to go into the meeting they're having right now with.
Well, a couple things. One, it's not the tone, but it is not the right tone. But of course, it is consistent with the tone of this administration that it's their way or the highway. They will not negotiate. They will not agree to anything except their original plan. And secondly, I almost have to laugh if it wasn't so sad when he says that we have to just pay our bills and move on. If only they would agree to pay our bills. That's the whole problem. This country is $17 trillion in debt. We are not paying our bills. We're putting the burden on our kids and our grandkids. And if we go along with what the Democrats are saying, if we go along with what the President and Schumer are saying, is you and I won't be paying our bills for all these new entitlements that they're creating now, an extra $2 trillion in entitlements. Our kids are going to be paying for it. They're going to be paying the bills. So it's one of fairness. Who should be paying the bills? He doesn't want to. He wants your kids, my kids, to be stuck with the tab always.
And it's funny if it weren't so serious that when he was a senator, he said those exact things. It was unpatriotic to raise the debt. He voted against raising the debt ceiling in a party line vote, by the way. Almost every Democrat voted against raising the debt ceiling in 2006 under Bush. But here's what the Senate is working on. The proposal would be a framework for larger budget negotiations with the House over the automatic sequestration spending cuts and other deficit issues. Senate Democrats, they say they're open to delaying the medical device tax and that Obamacare subsidies be subject to income verification, but they would have to get something in return from the Republicans. I know it depends on what it looks like, but on those principles, maybe funding the government until March and lifting the debt ceiling until next year, also early next year or whatever. If there's a medical tax device involved, is that enough for the House to agree to and then forge ahead with negotiations?
Well, let's pare some of those things down. What's one of the items you mentioned there is to income verification. Well, guess what? That's already the law. So basically, what Schumer says, well, if you put it in a law a second time, then the president will abide by it. But of course, we all know the president is not following the law right now. So if we go along that strategy, I guess we could have to redo the entire bill, because there's other portions of the law he's not following. Of course, most notably is the employer exemption. There's nothing in the law that gives the president the ability to do that, but he's just flaunting the law and does what he wants. So when my colleagues say, let's put in these provisions like that, I have to say, why do you think he's going to do it right next time? And secondly, what the Democrats are looking for, they want more spending of all things. $2 trillion on top of all the other entitlements is not enough. They want to increase spending and increase the burden on children even more without paying our bills, without paying our debt.
And that would be a $2 trillion increase in the debt ceiling?
Well, that's the $2 trillion I'm referencing is one of the ballpark figures for the addition of Obamacare.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Right.
Yeah, on top of, so you're adding a brand new entitlement, everything else. And, of course, they would want an increase in the debt limit, which if you did it out for the year, ballpark figure, another $900 billion. Some of the numbers.
So what I'm hearing, Congressman, is that what's being talked about, at least as the deal, the compromise with the Democrats and Republicans in the Senate, that it doesn't sound too palatable to you as a Republican in the House.
Well, I'm only looking for one thing, and that is fairness in following the letter of the law, the Constitution. How is it fair that and, no one's ever asked this question of the president, that he and his wife and his kids are not subjected to Obamacare, and everybody else that's listening to this program is. How is it fair that members of Congress have a different treatment and everybody else listening to this program do? We would like to have fairness and say, if it's good for one, it's good for the other. They won't abide by that.
All right, Congressman. So one more thing on this. What's the probability or the likelihood that there'll be people like you in the House, good, strong, conservative Republicans, but Boehner's going to say, I am not going to go for a debt ceiling collapse here, or whatever you want to call it, or default, or whatever is going to happen. Of course, we're not going to default, but you know what's going to be said. Right. So I'm going to bring to the floor this compromise from the Senate and have everybody vote on it. Do you think he'll do that?
I don't see it. I mean, after the way we left the chamber and we left the conference on Saturday, I can't see the speaker doing that. But we already sent over something that some of us really had to, grit our teeth and proverbial hold your nose and vote for, which was basically the idea, not vote for it, but the idea of a clean debt limit to get us through this hurdle right now. What was it, about a 6-week debt limit to allow for the president to engage in negotiations? And the president rejected that. He could have had what he's asking for right now from even the conservative Republicans, and he said no, he wants it his way. Everything his way, debt limit increase, CR, government full funding once again, and only then will he engage in negotiation. So I hope that answers the question.
Well, that's what I'm scared about with this president, because, they rewrite history, and then when you bring up history like Chris Wallace did to the Treasury Secretary, and you cite how this has always been part of negotiations and always been a give and take and always been done with every other president, they say, right, no, you got your history wrong. So they're telling you the sky is purple and the grass is polka dot, and if you don't think so, you're crazy. And I just think that this president doesn't mind inflicting the pain he's inflicted and wouldn't mind inflicting the devastation that they're predicting would come with not meeting the debt ceiling increase. I think I won't say he would enjoy it, but I don't think I think he would not mind it coming.
Right. I mean, there is throughout man's history, there are those who will call good evil and evil good, and those who speak not speak the truth and claim it's the truth. And that's what you're obviously hearing from the Secretary Lew and from the President on this as well. And to your point, yes, they have the opportunity right in their hands to assure the markets today. Secretary Lew could say, do not worry. There is enough cash flow to get us through this regardless of all these negotiations and calm the markets. But they don't do it. So you really have to wonder what is, unfortunately, their ulterior motive here. All
right, Congressman, thank you very much, sir. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Take care. All right. Congressman Scott Garrett, ladies and gentlemen. I want to get that quote. Throughout history, there are people who say good is evil, evil is good, and evil doers and good doers, and Lou and Obama. We got to get that quote accurate and run with it, because I'm telling you, folks. I'm telling you, they are talking down the markets. They want problems. They want destruction. They want devastation. They want pain. They really do. Otherwise, he's absolutely right. Otherwise, you go out of your way to say, hey, markets, we're talking, take a deal. Otherwise, he's absolutely right. Otherwise, you go out of your way to say, hey, markets, we're talking, take a deal. Stock market's going to go way down. And he, with the points way up and points way down. And why? What's the purpose of that? There could be only one purpose for that, and that's to instill fear. That's to instill fear. All right, we're coming back. 855-777-9660, 855-777-9660, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year, with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family.
Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already an Amazon bestseller. Or get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already an Amazon bestseller. Or get our Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at aftbook.com. That's aftbook.com.
What is Lignet? Lignet is knowledge. Lignet is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. What is Lignet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on Lignet.com. You've been briefed.
I used to sleep like a baby. Now I have to get up in the middle of the night just to go to the bathroom. And not just once.
Men, if you suffer from frequent urination, the inability to empty your bladder, a hesitant urine stream, or leaking due to an aging prostate, listen to this. Renowned physician Dr. David Brownstein believes this does not need to be an inevitable part of aging. After extensive research, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Prostate Revive, the dietary supplement specifically formulated to help improve and sustain normal prostate function. And now you can receive a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. For complete details, visit prostaterevive.com/offer. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Learn how you can try Prostate Revive for 30 days at prostaterevive.com/offer. Hurry, limited time offer. That's prostaterevive.com/offer.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop. Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Malzberg. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Malzberg's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-532-2967. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-532-2967. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-532-2967.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
But in an essay published last week for Think Progress, reporter Zach Beecham offered a provocative alternate explanation. Racism caused the shutdown. Yes, racism. Now, Beecham writes, this isn't an article about how Republicans shut down the government because they hate that the president is black. This is a historical piece connecting key political moments from the turn of the 20th century to today. After the Depression, Southerners became a minority in Congress for the first time. In response, they innovated a minority obstruction strategy, the Southern veto, to thwart progressive racial policy. Now, those Dixiecrats were nominal members of the Democratic Party, but operated independently and ideologically to protect their regional and racial interests.
Okay, there you go. Welcome back. Melissa Harris Perry. We haven't heard from her in quite some time, huh? Glad to hear from her, letting us know that the government shutdown is racist. Of course it's racist. Here's cut 36. Just listen to her.
And what does all of this have to do with the shutdown? Beecham argues the Republican Party has now inherited this radically and racially conservative fringe who, like their Dixiecrat predecessors, are building barricades to meaningful governing. This isn't about the president being black. This is about how decades of legislative racism taught Republicans the strategies of rigid ideological obstruction.
And what exactly is it that they're doing that's racist now? Nothing. But it's racist anyway. You get the message? Wow, these people are just, oh, he said these people. Yeah, the loony left. That's what I'm. By the way, the meeting at the White House postponed. The president said, hey, you know what? You guys are doing such a good job in the Senate there, coming to an agreement. I'm going to go play some golf. You keep talking, but you let me know what happens now. I don't know if he's playing golf, but the meeting has been postponed. When we come back, we're going to speak to Byron York, chief political correspondent for the Washington Examiner. We did that right before we went on the air when the meeting was still planned to be going on to. So we talked on that premise. So you might hear it mentioned there, but it's been postponed. Okay, markets are doing pretty good. Dow up 20. Nasdaq up 20. S&P up almost 6. And got to wait for the Dow if you're watching because they go through all the other things. I'll let you know. The Dow, I think, was up around 60 or something like that. I'll tell you in a second. Any second now it's coming. I could feel it. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 55 points. Gee, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats must be really, really ticked off. Now, back to sports. You didn't know we were. Hey, Bobby Valentine will be joining us
talking about the specter of default, it is there. It does exist. But it seems to me that I think everybody would want the president to express some optimism and determination to fix this thing before Thursday.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Okay, so the rhetoric, though, even though it was partisan in nature, he did blame Republicans by name. I didn't hear gun. I didn't hear hostage. I didn't hear kidnapping. I didn't hear jihad. I didn't hear, all those code words and the violent rhetoric. So can we gauge from that as they're sitting at the White House right now talking, that maybe they're a little friendlier?
Well, that is progress, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. Sad to say, but yes.
I think what we've gotten in today is that there appears to be some sort of progress between Mitch McConnell and Harry Reid, and that there could be some sort of deal worked out in the Senate that would both reopen the government with a continuing resolution of some duration and also lift the debt limit. Now, the question is, what happens with the House? I mean, the Senate and the President can't just make a deal and leave the House out of it. So I think the theory had been in the Senate, and the Senate's attitude toward this, which is that those unruly children in the House have made such a mess, and we adults have to come in and clean up after them. I think the theory in the Senate has been is that there's an overwhelming bipartisan vote on something in the Senate, and that will create a lot of pressure in the House to act. But we don't know if that's true or not.
No, we don't. And, from what I understand, the Republicans in the House have outlined their demands for a deal, and it would include funding the government through the holidays. We've heard from the Democrats and the president that that's not enough. They also want probably the repeal of something related to Obamacare, but that is addressed in the Senate deal. You wrote a piece. Well, you wrote two great pieces. The one that you wrote a couple of days ago, let's start with that before the missed opportunity piece at the Washington Examiner. And you talked about how there might be a deal, but don't get your hopes up. There might not be a deal. Where do you stand right now? I know pending the outcome of the White House meeting, but where did you stand going into that meeting?
Well, there was a lot of irrational exuberance, I think, on Friday when people thought, okay, the Senate's involved, now there'd be a deal. And there really wasn't any evidence to me that there was one. Sure enough, over the weekend, it became pretty clear there was nothing even close to a deal. Right now, I do think it's possible you could get some sort of agreement in the Senate, but I don't know where that leaves the House. I think what we're going to see is the House will meet this afternoon, and they're going to come up with their own plan. And I think they're going to express a lot of determination not to be pressured into doing something by the Senate. So, I really think this is going to come down to, as it has lately, to John Boehner. Does he go with the most conservative group of his House Republican Conference? Does he put something before the whole House, including Democrats? I mean, it's going to be up to him.
Yeah, all right. And the piece that you wrote, I believe, yesterday about how the GOP had a great chance to wait for Obamacare to kick in and then, go on the attack against what has been just a disaster, even to this day. I just saw the CNN reporter who's been trying to sign up for 2 weeks. That she said she was going to set her alarm. She tried it at 7 in the morning. She did it in the middle of the night, and she still couldn't get on to sign up for Obamacare. So you talk about that, about the past couple of months leading up to Obamacare, and now the past 2 weeks, a great missed opportunity for the Republicans.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of Republicans who think that, which is that what if they, in the midsummer, instead of taking this path of trying to defund Obamacare, which failed, what if they had instead launched sort of an all-out campaign involving all top Republicans in Washington, governors, state and local officials, all sorts of people, to really try to point out all of these weaknesses in Obamacare. I mean, we had all sorts of signals that things were not going well. We had predictions of a train wreck. We had worries that the exchanges would be a, quote, third world experience. We had President Obama delaying the employer mandate. We had the administration giving up on the task of verifying whether subsidy recipients are actually qualified for those. And then the biggest one, we had the administration back off the president's often made promise that if you have health care and you like it, you can keep it.
All of that was happening over the summer. And we knew October 1 was coming. We always knew October 1 would be the debut day for the Obamacare exchanges. Republicans didn't know the exchanges would fail as badly as they have so far, but there was so much to talk about. Then in September, we started getting reports of families and people receiving letters from their insurers saying their insurance was canceled, or their premiums were going way up, or their deductibles were going up, or both. And then starting October 1st, we've seen everything that's happened since then. And so I think there are a number of Republicans who thought, instead of trying to defund this legislatively, failing and ending up with a government shutdown, what if we had just pounded this every single day? And we're continuing to pound this every day. Perhaps the Republican Party would be in a different position right now than it is at the moment.
All right, one final question. Is this president willing to have a default? Is this president willing to let the debt ceiling deadline come and go? And is this president willing to have a default? Is this president willing to let the debt ceiling deadline come and go? He has demanded, then he'll do it? Or is he interested in any kind of resolution, do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. He seems very, very determined. But his problem is that back in 2011, he did deal over the debt limit, and he did accept policy attachments with raising the debt limit. And now he says he'll never, ever do that.
Well, not only that, he says it's never, ever been done, which is a lie.
And now he says he'll never, ever do that.
Well, not only that, he says it's never, ever been done, which is a lie.
So what he's really saying right now is not, I won't do this. He's saying, this time, I really mean it.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to do to convince people of, because he's already negotiated the very thing he says he won't do.
Byron, appreciate your time, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
Take care. Byron York, ladies and gentlemen, chief political correspondent at the Washington Examiner. And check out those two columns at WashingtonExaminer.com that I was talking about. All right. Let's throw it open to you if you want to weigh in. We have a new number, by the way, I should point out. The old number works, so don't panic. It'll work for the rest of the week, 855-777-9660. But how about this for a cool number? 877-Newsmax. How do you like that? 877-Newsmax. And we have to figure out what those numbers are, the corresponding numbers. But for now, 877-Newsmax. Love to hear from you. Right here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Wow, you look great. Thanks. I've lost some weight. What's your secret weapon? Actually, I do. Wow, you look great. Thanks. I've lost some weight. What's your secret weapon? Actually, I do.
It just may be the edge you've been looking for. Metabio supports healthy metabolism and promotes fat loss. It helps maintain your optimal weight and wellness when used as part of a healthy lifestyle. Now you can receive a 30-day supply of Metabio. Simply cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit themetabio.com/offer for complete details. Act now and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Practical Guide to Healthy Weight Management. Learn how you can try Metabio for 30 days at themetabio.com/offer. That's the METABIO.com/offer. Hurry, only while supplies last at the
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy.
Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
When you were younger, You probably never considered your heart health, but cardiologist Dr. Chauncey Crandall knows from experience that taking steps to care for your heart becomes more crucial as the decades pass, if you want to keep this vital organ ticking smoothly for years to come. That's why Dr. Crandall recently developed Cardio Advanced, a nutritional supplement containing 12 special ingredients, all selected to help improve and maintain your heart health and normal cholesterol levels. The flagship of this exclusive formula, esterified plant sterols, may help lower your risk of heart disease when taken as part of a diet low in cholesterol and fat. And great news! Now, you have the opportunity to try a 30-day supply of Cardio Advanced. Simply cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act right now, you'll also receive a free doctor's guide to a healthy heart as a special bonus. Please visit cardioadvanced.com/radio for complete details on claiming your 30-day bottle of Cardio Advanced and free report. That's cardioadvanced.com/radio. Life is too precious to ignore your heart health. Visit cardioadvanced.com/radio now while supplies last.
Have you hit a brick wall with your weight loss? Does your weight management plan need an extra edge for success? If so, listen up. Metabio is the revolutionary weight loss breakthrough designed to help you reach your goal weight as part of your diet and exercise program. Metabio is the premium nutritional supplement power-packed with 5 high-quality ingredients. When used as part of a healthy lifestyle, each component is formulated to help you reach your goals and maintain your optimal weight and wellness. It supports healthy metabolism and promotes fat loss. Now, learn how you can try a 30-day supply of Metabio. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit themetabio.com/special. Act now and also receive instant access to our downloadable special report, a practical guide to healthy weight management. Try it now at themetabio.com/special. That's the metabio.com/special. While supplies last. themetabio.com/special.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Get off the sidelines and be a part of the show. Call Steve toll-free at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back. At the top of the hour, we're going to be joined by Andy McCarthy, who has written a great piece for National Review. We will talk about funding jihadists while denying military benefits. Yes, we are funding jihadists. There's absolutely no doubt about that. We're fighting alongside jihadists. But we're also going to discuss something with Andy that you need to hear. If you're planning on flying, and even if you're not planning on flying, if you're an American, you need to hear this, what I'm going to tell you right now. Because this has gotten zero publicity, even though a television station, WTSP TV in Orlando, did a story on this issue. And it's a memo, a horrifying internal memo, obtained by WTSP TV, reportedly detailing an incident which some pilots believe may have been a dry run for terrorists plotting another 9/11 style attack. And what's being done about it? What are you being told about it? Nothing. Listen to this. You got to hear this. Here's from the report from WTSP TV in Orlando, cut number 25.
Wolf Koch is the chairman of the Airline Pilots Association International Aviation Security Committee.
They're going to try it again. 100%.
no question in my mind they're going to try it again.
Koch, as well as many other flight crews, are concerned the planning may already be underway. This memo, obtained by the 10 News investigators from the union that represents pilots for U.S. Airways, says there have been several cases recently throughout the airline industry of what appears to be probes or dry runs to test our procedures and reaction to an in-flight threat.
If a dry run's occurring, the attack is shortly following.
Yeah. Now, do you understand what you're listening to? Now, I will tell you what happened when to Delta Airlines pilot Wolf Koch, who holds that position at the Airline Pilots Association. Will tell you what they said to us when we tried to get him on this show. Obviously, he's not here, so he didn't come. Here's cut number 26.
Pilots say the most recent dry run occurred on 1880 on September 2nd. The flight left Reagan International Airport for Washington, headed for Orlando International. Crew members say that shortly after takeoff, a group of 4, quote, Middle Eastern men caused a commotion. The witnesses claim one of the men ran from his seat and coach toward the flight deck door. He made a hard left and entered the forward bathroom, quote, for a considerable length of time. While he was in there, the other 3 men proceeded to move about the cabin, changing seats, opening overhead bins, and, quote, generally making a scene. The 10 News investigators contacted both U.S. Airways and TSA, and both confirmed the incident. The TSA told us it takes all reports of suspicious activity aboard aircraft seriously. The matter requires no further investigation at this time.
No further investigation. On a flight where you had one Muslim man, and they say they were Muslim, so I'll just have to take their word for it. How they know, I can't tell you. Running into the bathroom and staying there for a long time, and then other Muslim men running around the cabin. No further investigation? How about taking these guys into custody? You can't say boo on a plane without being taken into custody if they want to take you into custody. What? No further investigation? I know Alec Baldwin could allegedly, go into a bathroom, pound on the doors, make a scene, throw things around. That's okay. But I didn't know that this could take place too. Oh, we're not finished. We're not finished. Cut 27.
They're liars. They're flat out liars.
This federal air marshal says several flights he has worked have been the targets of dry runs, and he and most of his colleagues believe no matter what the TSA says about no need for further investigation, the incident aboard Flight 1880 is serious.
Yeah. Serious. Here's more. And this is the last cut from cut 28 from this report.
Is there any proof, though, that the dry runs actually lead to further action?
Well, the most terrifying one is with the actor James Woods. He was on a flight and noticed a commotion. He called the flight attendant, who then got the captain, and said, look what's going on. They then notified the FBI. Nothing else was done. That flight was August 2001, and Mohammed Atta was later identified as one of the men on the flight. He was one of the lead hijackers in 9/11.
Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? Another dry run where nothing was done was August of 2001. Less than a month before 9/11, and Mohammed Atta was one of the characters running around the cockpit of the plane. Not the cockpit, but the cabin of the plane. Isn't this comforting? Nothing was done then. Nothing's done now. Hey, let them roam. You can't target them because that would be profiling, right? Insane. Now listen to this. In this report, WTSP.com has on their website. Now, this was a flight. We gave you the number of the flight. There's another interesting twist to this. It just so happens that on the return flight from Orlando to D.C., with the same flight number, a group of 8 Middle Eastern females concealed in full burqas were in the boarding area for the flight to DCA. This flight did not have a federal air marshal team, even though it was supposed to have it was rebooked, blah, 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 blah. And the same kind of thing happened on this flight with the women in burqas. Don't worry about it. What are you worried about? Just because Muhammad Atta did this right before 9/11, you worried? Nah, we welcome all Muslims, all groups, all peoples onto our flights. Don't you worry about it. The TSA has it under control. You heard what the Federal Air Marshal, whose voice was changed, said in that report. They're flat out liars. Nice for a Federal Air Marshal to say that. Flat out liars. After the TSA said that this event doesn't require any further investigation. Now, we reached out to Wolf Koch, the Delta Airlines pilot, who's the official with the pilots union, and we got a letter back. And I don't have the letter in front of me, but doesn't matter. Mr. Wolf is not with us, or Mr. Koch is not with us. He's not on the show. They wouldn't let him come on this show. He's not doing any interviews anymore. Gee, really, I wonder why. And they have full confidence in the TSA. They reported this incident to the TSA, and they have full and utter confidence in the TSA to address and handle this. Isn't that comforting? Aren't you going to sleep better tonight? Aren't you going to get on your next flight and just be so confident knowing that the TSA is on the job? Now, it would be one thing if the TSA told us they were investigating this further. No. The TSA says they don't need to investigate this any further. That is so comforting, I cannot tell you. Now, what is it? What is it? Is it total asinine political correctness that prevents Pilot Koch from coming on with us? The TSA from saying we're investigating this? The FBI from rounding those people up on the plane and questioning them? I don't know. But we're looking for trouble. We're looking for trouble. Don't forget, they were after the Capitol or the White House, and they didn't get the Capitol, and they didn't get the White House. Now, I know Barack Obama tells us Al-Qaeda's on the run. I understand that. And thank God for Barack Obama, because he's got Al-Qaeda on the run. But don't tell me there aren't cells in this country, Al-Qaeda and others. And don't tell me that after 12 years, they're not poised. And don't tell me that we haven't seen this movie before. People thought James Woods was nuts when he talked about this. But a guy named Muhammad Atta on the itinerary, on the plane, verified that James Woods knew exactly that he should be concerned. Too bad the FBI back then wasn't concerned. Are we headed for the same thing? Are we headed in that very direction? Are we so politically correct that we just want to see it happen again so we could say, see how welcoming we are to Muslims? They ran a dry run. We knew it. We didn't even do anything about it. Is that what we are? See, that's called suicidal. And I hope and pray we haven't reached the point of being suicidal in the United States. Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Obamacare, President Obama's massive healthcare law, is taking effect this year. With over 15,000 pages of regulations, few even know what it means. Now, the Obamacare Survival Guide by Nick Tate gives you the shocking facts about this law. It's a step-by-step guide on how you can protect yourself. Already a New York Times bestseller, every American needs to get the Obamacare Survival Guide and find out about the new taxes, hidden fees, fines, Medicare changes, business rules, and why doctor shortages are likely. Donald Trump says the Obamacare Survival Guide is a must-read for anyone worried about getting good health care for themselves or their employees. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's at bookstores, or get our special offer at Obamacare311.com and you'll save $15. Go now to Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
Do you suffer from joint discomfort? Contrary to what the experts may say, achy joints do not have to be a normal part of aging. Holistic doctor David Brownstein challenged conventional thinking to focus on natural solutions for joint health. As a result, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Limbex, the premium nutritional supplement specifically formulated to support healthy joints and connective tissue. It's a new joint breakthrough formula containing 11 hand-picked nutrients. Learn more at limbexjoint.com/special and take the 30-day Healthy Joint Challenge. That's a 30-day supply of the Limbex Joint Supplement. All you pay is a $4.95 shipping fee. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Happy, Healthy Joints at Any Age. You can do something about joint discomfort and flexibility. Learn how you can try it for 30 days at limbexjoint.com/special. That's LIMBEX joint.com/special. limbexjoint.com/special.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. Congressional leaders are back at the White House today trying to reach a deal. Aides and sources say we are closer to a deal to end the government shutdown and avoid debt default than it looks. But it doesn't look all that great right now. And over the weekend, talks between President Obama and House leaders fell apart. The GOP continues to press for concessions for reopening the government, and the White House was having none of it. Now, the Senate seems to be the best hope for getting a deal done. There are still some big hurdles, of course. As part of any budget compromise, Senate Democrats are looking to roll back some of those across-the-board spending cuts we've seen, known as sequestration.
The shutdown needs to end, and the debt ceiling impasse needs to be dealt with and get past it.
I'm optimistic about the prospects for a positive conclusion to the issues before this country.
But Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell is not warming up to the Democrats' demands. Instead, he is endorsing a proposal already on the table from Senator Susan Collins of Maine. McConnell said in a statement that it has the support of both Democrats and Republicans. The Collins plan funds the government at its current levels for 6 months and raises the debt limit through the end of January. We'll see where that goes. But now more backlash, this time coming from angry veterans who tossed aside barricades to get into the World War II memorial on the National Mall. It was all part of a Tea Party rally led by Sarah Palin and Texas Senator Ted Cruz, who helped lead the fight against Obamacare, which of course contributed to the government shutdown. Protesters shouted, quote, "tear down the walls," and also sang patriotic songs throughout the so-called Million Vet March.
We have had enough. We're out here for a multitude of reasons, but you shutting down the Veterans Memorial was the straw that broke the camel's back.
A little bit after that, some protesters carried barricades to the White House and rallied outside the gates confronting police in riot gear. Protesters carried one sign demanding that President Obama be impeached. And on a more positive note, this weekend's Chicago Marathon provided one woman the chance to show the world her determination. Less than 6 months ago, Lee Ann Yanni was waiting for her friends near the finish line at the Boston Marathon when the first of 2 homemade bombs exploded just a few feet from where she was standing. She was badly wounded and did not know at the time if she would ever run again. But lots of hard work and rehab paid off, and she finished this race, the Chicago Marathon, over the weekend. Next year, she says she plans to return to Boston and run the marathon there as well. And India is recovering from a cyclone that hit this weekend. Officials say massive evacuations ahead of the storm helped save lives. However, at least 17 people have died. This cyclone hit eastern India, and authorities say it destroyed millions of dollars worth of crops. Well, coming up next on your Newsmax Now update, a bridge collapses in China. What happened right after this moment, and see what rescuers say helped keep everybody alive. Plus, a Newsmax exclusive with Congressman Randy Hultgren of Illinois next.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming, the shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. the only 1.5-ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The Silver Polar Bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at aftbook.com. That's aftbook.com.
What is LigNet? LigNet is knowledge. LigNet is power. LigNet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is LigNet? LigNet is confidential. LigNet is sensitive. LigNet is security. What is LigNet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. SocialSecurity311.com. At SocialSecurity311.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. For example, did you know how you file for Social Security can dramatically change the amount of money you collect? One simple step could add up to $1,000 to your monthly payouts. And other loopholes we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At SocialSecurity311.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says this website is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to SocialSecurity311.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's SocialSecurity311.com. SocialSecurity311.com.
And welcome back. Check this out. At least 10 people were injured in China when a pedestrian bridge gives out. The collapse was captured on surveillance video. It happened Sunday in the Jiangxi province in eastern China. This area is popular with tourists in the mountains, but fortunately, the water there is only about 6.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling toll-free 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
I'm telling you, you never know what to expect here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Monday edition of the program. And I got to tell you, my next guest, who you know very well, every column that he writes is a great column. But this one, it not only was it great, it was just so mind-boggling and aggravating that I want to start at the end of it, if I can, as we welcome in the great Andy McCarthy, senior fellow at the National Review Institute, also best-selling author most recently of Spring Fever, The Illusion of Islamic Democracy. Hey, Andy, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Steve. How are you?
I'm fine. I want to start at the end here. The piece is called Funding Jihadists While Denying Military Benefits, an obvious reference to the fact that the president and the administration made sure that they did not pay the $100,000 per military family in the wake of the government shutdown until the House and the Senate gave Obama a specific bill stating specifically to do so, even though they could have done it without that. But you write at the end, don't you find it strange? I'm sorry. Don't you find it strange? Don't you think the public at large would find it strange that in a shutdown, Obama has instigated in order to enforce the Obamacare law that Americans don't want? So he skews the rest of our law that his administration says we can fund al-Qaeda, but we can't fund the families of war dead. What a great argument it would be for Republicans if only they were on the right side of it, but they're not. So let's roll over on Obamacare, get behind the Syrian jihadists, and make sure everyone knows Ted Cruz is the delusional one around here. I mean, that really does, starting from the end, sum it all up.
Thanks, Steve. I really think that what we're seeing here is not so much a Republican-Democrat issue as the real divide in the country, which is the rest of the country versus Washington. And, you know, Washington has, I think, tentacles in places like New York and Chicago and Los Angeles. But, you know, for the most part, we're seeing the people who care about this country as it was founded, want this country preserved as it was founded, not, you know, fundamentally transformed, versus the people who decided that they know what's best for us and would rule us rather than serve us. And that's really what this tees up as. Yeah, well, absolutely. And you know, I don't think, in fact, I know most people in this country don't understand what is going on here. First of all, they don't understand that Obama is breaking the law. He's unconstitutionally with Obamacare and with other laws, but let's focus on Obamacare. He's breaking the law by selectively saying, all right, you don't have to you know, be part of that law until a year from now, and you don't have to do this, and we'll give you subsidies to help pay for you. And so he's breaking the law that he keeps saying is it's law, it's in the books, it's been approved by the Supreme Court, it's been passed by the Congress. But number two, and what's much, much worse, as if there's something worse than breaking the law if you're the president, is that he's breaking another law, and that's the one that says you can't fund or fight alongside or give military aid and assistance to terrorists. And he's broken that law to support the Syrian rebels. Yes, material support to terrorism has been a federal crime since the mid-1990s. We have convicted dozens, I would say hundreds of people of it. There's probably, if you accumulate it, thousands of years and sentences have been imposed against Americans and others inside our country for doing basically what our government is now doing, which is providing support, knowing that at least a percentage of that support is going to the jihadists in Syria and elsewhere. And, you know, look, it's basically a mirror of the policy that we followed to great catastrophic effect in Libya. So it's not like we don't have a cautionary tale here, and it's not like it's just that objectively anyone should know that funding anti-American terrorists is a bad thing. We're actually living already with the results of this policy. Yeah, well, I want you to talk about that. But again, you know, the fact that most Americans don't know this. I mean, can you imagine, Andy? Can you imagine what the media would be like? I mean, you know, they called him George Bush a murderer. They said he should be impeached for the Iraq War, lying, blah blah blah. But fighting on how did we get here? How did we get to an America 12 years after 9/11, where not only have we, you know, ruined the FBI when it comes to questioning jihadists or suspected terrorists, we don't waterboard. We have no CIA, you know, a division anymore that is tough on terrorists and tries to interrogate them. And now we have this, where this law could be broken by the President of the United States. And as far from criticizing it, Republicans in the Senate especially applaud it, say we got to do more of it. How did we get here? Well, I think, Steve, the simple explanation for how we got here is that we refuse to accept and indulge the fact that terrorism could be inspired by a mainstream interpretation of Islam. And when we took that position, we basically exacerbated it by saying not only can this not be Islam, but if you say it is Islam or a credible interpretation of Islam, you're a hater, and you're somebody who we're actually going to regard as more of a problem than the jihadists themselves are. So basically, we have arranged our society, and our government has done that. This government in particular, this administration in particular, but the last administration was no bargain on this either. The signal that they have conveyed is that if you deal realistically with the threat that we are up against, then you're the problem, not the solution. And that's now been raised to a level of we not only are we going to close our eyes to what the problem is, we're affirmatively going to promote it. And that's the slippery slope we've been on a dozen years, and here we are.
We're talking Andy McCarthy, Senior Fellow, National Review Institute. We're talking Andy McCarthy, Senior Fellow, National Review Institute. Paperback here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Speaking of all that, we just did a segment in the previous hour, a report from a station in Orlando, which documented a dry run, or a very strong possibility of a dry run. The dry run on an airplane. The marshal who was on board said that it was a dry run. TSA says no further investigation needed. This was a plane for a flight from Washington, D.C. to Orlando. You had one guy get up and he ran into the bathroom, made a commotion, stayed there for a long time. Other Muslim men, Middle Eastern men, got up and started moving and running about the cabin. One of them stared down the air marshal. And then on the return flight, not the same day, but on the same flight number that went back to Washington, you have a report of women in burqas doing similar things. Now, you know and I know very well, as the report stated, that James Woods, the actor, remembers a dry run of the same nature back in August of 2001, and it turned out that one of the people participating in that dry run was Muhammad Atta. So here we are, the Pilots Association, whose president was flying that plane and was in that report, now is not allowed to do any interviews. He wouldn't come on this show. They sent us a letter. And the TSA says, oh, no problem, no further investigation needed. And I'm just wondering, are they smart enough to be following these people and tracking them down and seeing who the heck they are? Or is that just pie-in-the-sky optimism on my part? And are they probably saying, no, nothing to worry about?
Well, Steve, I think you've got a real divide between the brass in Washington and the field offices. My experience is there are fabulous people in the FBI who are working day and night in conjunction with a lot of local police departments, particularly the New York City Police Department in our area, and people in the intelligence community. And we should tip our hat to them. They've done an unbelievable job against great odds in the last dozen years, under circumstances where it's becoming harder and harder for them to do their job because the progressives who are now in power frown on what's made us safe for the last dozen years, which is an intelligence-first approach to counterterrorism. So is there a reason to be concerned? I'd say there's absolutely reason to be concerned, because right now it has really become very, very difficult for people who want to do the things that need to be done to protect this country to do that. They basically put their careers at risk, noticing things like the fact that the terrorism against us is ideologically motivated, that it's that the motivation is rooted in a mainstream interpretation of Islam, that there really isn't any difference in terms of what they want at the bottom line between outfits like Al-Qaeda and outfits like the Muslim Brotherhood, which is very popular with this administration. The Brotherhood is. So, if our threat environment is becoming more dangerous, it's because you've had a lot of people in the country who want to protect the country, who haven't been willing to wear blinders and have actually tried to deal with the threat. And we have a government that has made their job harder and harder to do.
Yeah, no, very, very frightening. Hey, Andy, great piece and great analysis of the terrible situation. By the way, we heard so much about that Wall Street Journal poll, the horrific Wall Street Journal poll. Oh, you were funny because you did tweet me back. Journal poll. Oh, you were funny because you did tweet me back. Who to blame for the shutdown and the problems? They said Obama, Republicans in Congress both, or don't know. And I said, guess who they left out? And you tweeted back Eli Manning. And I said I was thinking more like George W. Bush. But here's another internal from that poll.
Steve, you're so 2009, man. You got to get with it.
Right. Well, here's another one. As far as negatives, strongly negative, partially negative. As far as total negatives, in that poll, Obama, 41% negative overall. Harry Reid, 32% negative overall. Ted Cruz, 28%. So who is the most hated man in America by that standard in that poll that the left kept talking about?
Right. They'll never report it. And the only comment I could add to that is if Ted is at 28, it's the right 28.
There you go. All right, Andy. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Andy McCarthy, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. All right, you want to weigh in on this? First of all, I mean, how many times could we talk about a president who breaks the law? And we've talked about breaking the law by supporting the Syrian rebels, which is encouraged by people like John McCain and Lindsey Graham and others. So what are you going to do about it? But he's breaking the law, a law that it was from the 90s, 1996. It's a felony to provide material support to terrorists. And that's what we're doing. That's exactly what we're doing. I mean, in this column, Andy talks about, what the Syrian jihadists have done. The executions, the eating the heart of one of their victims. I mean, all these bloody, disgusting, terroristic things, and we're supporting them. But are you afraid to fly now? Does this concern you? 877 Newsmax, that's the new number. 877 Newsmax, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, and you may be forced to watch helplessly as you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, all while your home's value is eradicated. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer believes we will soon stare down a secret crisis that will rival the Great Depression. It was Wiedemer's 2005 book, America's Bubble Economy, that warned of coming meltdowns in our housing and stock markets. Washington did not heed his call, and folks on Main Street lost $50 trillion from the recession. His New York Times best-selling book, Aftershock, predicted our federal debt and dollar would be the next bubbles to burst. And now, Robert Wiedemer has released a startling video with shocking evidence the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Join us at aftbook.com. That's aftbook.com.
Hello, my name is Fred Fleitz, and I'm the managing editor of LigNet. You've probably seen our name preceding some of the stories you read on Newsmax or heard LigNet referenced on Fox News, C-SPAN, or CNN. Perhaps you've asked yourself, what is LigNet? LigNet is an acronym for the Langley Intelligence Group Network, a private Washington, D.C. based service that provides global intelligence, in-depth analysis, and detailed forecasting.
Who is LigNet?
LigNet's staff and advisors include former CIA officers, national security experts, presidential advisors, and top-level government officials from around the world. I myself held several national security posts for the U.S. government during my 25-year career with the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Department of State, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Our lead advisor is General Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA. He is joined by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton and former chairman of the National Intelligence Council and Special Assistant to President Ronald Reagan Fritz Ehrmann, former U.S. Ambassador to Venezuela Otto Reich, and former clandestine service officer Frederick Russman. Former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee Peter Hoekstra also join our advisory board staff.
What is LigNet's mission?
Every day our goal is to use our expertise, our resources, and our worldwide staff to take the pulse of the ever-changing political and economic landscape and the threats we face on a daily basis. Whether you are following global events for your portfolio or business, or just interested in the world around you, LigNet provides what you need to know to keep up with global events.
What are the benefits of joining LigNet?
There are many. Every day, LigNet members receive the Morning Brief, a daily email that provides summaries and links to our daily analysis to keep you up to date on LigNet's assessments. LigNet members receive unrestricted access to LigNet's secure database of global analysis. All of our special reports, previous analyses, and exclusive video interviews with intelligence insiders are available to members 24 hours a day. But you also get top-notch analysis that resembles the President's Daily Brief, the classified intelligence assessment delivered to the President of the United States every morning. LigNet also sends breaking news emails to our membership list. If there is a development of global proportions or a terror alert, our subscribers are always the first to know. I hope you now have a better understanding of what LigNet is, but more importantly, recognize how truly invaluable LigNet can be. As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join LignNet for $1.
As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join LignNet for $1.
Breaking news and breaking hearts. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
Yes, it is, and welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, ladies and gentlemen. Do we have someone on the line or not? Okay, just let me know. Okay, we do have Mark on the line. All right, let's go to Mark real quick on the line. Been holding from good old Florida. Hello, Mark. You're on the Steve Malzberg Show, sir.
Okay, good. How are you doing?
Good. By the way, everybody out there, the new number 877 Newsmax. Could you guys come up with the corresponding numbers for Newsmax so I could just repeat that also? Oh, go ahead. Okay, got it. Well, just let me tell them 877-639-7629. 877-639-7629 or 877 Newsmax. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, Islam is a big problem, no doubt, for us today. But an even bigger and imminent problem is the Chinese against us, okay? With our current condition, economic situation, if we default, it's going to rattle the total global economic system, okay? And that's going to rattle their cage, okay? And they have been planning, probably for decades, maybe half a century or beyond that, to overthrow this country, okay? And I've got an article out of a VA publication. It's classified and then declassified information. It's a 2-page article where Chi Hortain, 7-8 years ago, I don't know if he's still the defense minister and vice chairman of the Chinese Military Council, and he is addressing the council, and we had moles in there at this.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Okay, and
he talks about if we lose if we lose $1 million, it's okay because they'll lose $5 million, something like that, right?
Well, he says if we were to launch a full nuclear strike against them, he says they'd take out a little more than half of us, but we'll still outnumber them 2-1.
Right. All right. Here's the deal. I couldn't agree with you more that China is a threat to the United States militarily, with cyber warfare, you name it. I think you're right. I don't know how far they go back. Whether it's
now we're disarming our ICBM.
Well, wait a minute. I don't know if it's a half century they go back, but absolutely. And don't forget, it was Bill Clinton who gave them, against the advice of everybody, against the advice of the Justice Department, military, gave Loral from what I recall, many years ago, the okay to give them missile technology, long-range missile technology. But that's another issue. I agree, China's a threat. But wait. Let me. But to your point, and when you say Islam's a problem, yeah, radical Islam interpreted by terrorists as their religion is the problem. But let me go on and say also, we're not going to default unless Barack Obama makes it happen, because we will always have enough money coming in from our tax base. Always will have enough money coming into the Treasury to pay our interest on the debt. So unless he picks and chooses or doesn't pick and choose and prioritize what to pay, and the debt should be number one and Social Security should be number two, it'll be his fault that it happens. But I don't put it past him. I don't put it past him.
Well, what I'm saying is the Chinese have had this intent irregardless of our economic status.
I agree with you, but I agree with you. They're a threat to us.
We fall into a situation where they weaken us.
I understand. I understand. They are a threat to us, and it's something that we need to look at realistically. And, again, with all that's going on, that's the beauty of this administration, between the scandals and the incompetence and the violation of the law, the flagrant violation of the Constitution. What do you focus on first? But, yeah, I fear one day we'll wake up, we'll see Chinese play just like at Pearl Harbor. Oh, what are those? Don't laugh. God forbid. We're coming back. We got a lot more ahead. You're going to find the next segment very interesting with sound bites on the Steve Malzberg Show. Don't go away.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Okay, folks, this is going to interest anyone with diabetes or prediabetes. And what I'm about to tell you is pretty controversial, so you'll definitely want to consult your doctor first. But If diabetes is a concern of yours, there's a website that you need to see, 99reverse.com. At that site, they reveal what they call the one weird spice that you probably have in your kitchen right now and how it normalizes blood sugar levels. Now, what they say is people who have followed this plan exactly as found at 99reverse.com have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medications with their doctor's approval, of course. At 99reverse.com, you get 3 specific actions to take right now, today, to get your blood sugar under control in just 4 weeks or less. Is it possible to reverse diabetes? Visit 99reverse.com. Find out now. Check with your doctor, of course, because I'm not giving you medical advice here. But if you have diabetes or you're worried about your blood sugar, I think you should check out 99reverse.com.
Men, this is the time in your life when you have more freedom to travel, more time for leisure, including an active lifestyle, even a renewed intimacy. The last thing you want is the hassle of an aging prostate. Frequent trips to the bathroom also keep you awake at night. But here's good news. Renowned physician Dr. David Brownstein believes that prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. As a result, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Prostate Revive, specifically formulated to help improve and sustain normal prostate function. Learn more about how you can receive a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive. Just cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit prostaterevive.com/special for complete details. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate, while supplies last. Try Prostate Revive for 30 days at prostaterevive.com/special. That's prostaterevive.com/special.
If you're a man over 40, your prostate could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men, as part of this new radio promotion, you now have the opportunity to claim your own 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy.
Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Just a moment, we're going to hook up with David Brody of CBNnews.com. He's the chief political correspondent for the Christian Broadcasting Network here on the Steve Malzberg Show. We will talk with him, and let's say hello to David Brody. Hey, David, how are you, sir?
Good, Steve. How are you, sir?
Good. It's been a long time. I don't think we've had you on this show, unless I'm mistaken. So welcome aboard, and I hope to have you back. Of course, Mr. Brody is. You can read him at the Brody File on the Christian Broadcast Network, CBN.com, and you can read him at the Brody File on the Christian Broadcast Network, CBN.com, and that is the priests and the Obama administration denying mass to Catholics. Here's an administration that, in my view, has launched a war on religion, and specifically a war on Catholics and Christians in particular, with regard to Obamacare, birth control, the whole thing. But this really takes the cake.
Well, there's no doubt about it, Stephen. Memo to the Obama administration: don't tick off Catholics. I mean, come on. Steve, look, this goes across party lines to a degree. I mean, we're not just talking about those conservative or those pesky conservative evangelicals. Now you're talking about mainstream Catholics, mainstream potentially Democrats, Republicans. I mean, this goes across all party lines. And now you're going, in essence, Steve, you're ratcheting this up another level. You're now getting into dangerous territory if you're the Obama administration, because you're not necessarily saying, forget about them. They're part of the Republican base. Well, hold on. This could be part of your base as well. As a matter of fact, it is part of your base. And so this is why this is politically disastrous for the Obama administration.
Well, okay, so let's talk about what happened. I believe it was at the Naval Submarine Base in Kings Bay, Georgia, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Father Ray Leonard basically serves there. But, the government was shut down, so he can't go celebrate Mass, or at least he couldn't go celebrate Mass a weekend or so ago. And so he gets there. Now he decides to have a personal get-together, if you will, with folks that want to do that outside of the what do you call it, the government grounds there, but indeed, what can you say here, Steve? I mean, he is not allowed to go in. As a matter of fact, the sign said, "Shut down, no Catholic service till further notice." I mean, the optics on this for the Obama administration have been outright atrocious.
No, absolutely, and I am convinced, without a doubt, that they have selectively, throughout this whole shutdown, tried to go for causing as much pain as possible. But it's been a public relations disaster, because look what we found out at the World War II Memorial. We found out that was always an open space. They actually paid people to come and put barricades up. And everything you look at that they've done by choice. And now to do something like this, and I don't believe that this was an isolated incident. I think there were other incidents of its kind. I mean, to say, what are they trying to do? Say it's Republicans' fault? People know better than that, and know that Republicans wouldn't deny people a Catholic Mass.
Right. Well, this might be a classic case of overplaying their hand. They believe that they are winning politically on this. They look at the polls, they read Gallup, and they say, hey, we're winning. Well, hold on. They may be technically winning in the short term, but when you start to close down World War II memorials, and when you start to close down parts of Mount Vernon or Mount Rushmore and things that are sacred and important to people, and then of course Catholics can't celebrate Mass in certain places. At some point, it becomes a case of diminishing returns. I mean, how far do you go to prove a point? And I think that's the problem with what's going on with the Obama administration. They're kind of sitting pretty with Cheshire Cat smile, but when you start to pick and choose some of this stuff, it can really come back to bite you.
Yeah.
Cat smile, but when you start to pick and choose some of this stuff, it can really come back to bite you.
Yeah. Steve Malzberg Show. Let me talk to you about something else that I try to talk to every appropriate guest about this, and I think I've done a pretty good job in keeping this alive and booking guests specifically for it, and that is the killing of and the persecution of many minorities around the Middle East in particular, but particularly Christians in the Middle Eastern countries, the Coptic Christians in Egypt and in different parts of Africa. This is something that's been ongoing. It doesn't stop. It's widespread. We're talking about everything from bombing churches and schools to forcing, at the threat of a sword, Christians to convert. I mean, it goes on while the United States government says nothing.
Right. They don't say anything. And, it's going to be interesting. A couple observations here. Right. They don't say anything. And, it's going to be interesting. A couple observations here on this, Steve. First of all, Rand Paul and Marco Rubio, especially Rand Paul, have been extremely outspoken on this issue with the 2016 presidential race. Both are going to make an overt attempt, and principally overt attempt, if you will, to evangelicals and a broader religious audience to say this needs to stop.
Well, Paul just did it the other day, and when we're done with your interview, I'm going to play a bunch of sound bites for the folks because Paul was right on target.
He was, and as a matter of fact, we spent 2 days with him down in Kentucky, and he wanted to talk about this subject ad nauseum. And I don't say that in a negative way; I say that in a positive way. I mean, he really felt like this was getting it was not getting the attention it deserved. And also, and here we go. I'm going to mention two words here. Here we go, or a name. Hillary Clinton. I guarantee you, Steve, that when 2016 comes around, she's going to make this, I'm not going to call it a centerpiece, she won't make it a centerpiece, but she's going to give this, especially with her Secretary of State street cred, she's going to give this attention as well, and I think she's going to try to dilute some of that and tap into an evangelical and Catholic audience by talking about it.
Well, the problem for her, of course, is that she's never said anything about it, or maybe in passing somewhere that I don't even know about. But this was going on while she was Secretary of State. It's escalated now, especially with what's taken place in Egypt. But she had remained silent, remains silent now. And I hope whoever the Republican nominee is, they have the guts to say, "Where were you while all this was going on?"
No, you're absolutely right. I think that's a good point, and she would be called on the carpet on that. Having said that, I know from advisors close to her that, believe it or not, she believes this is an important issue. But once again, if she does believe this is an important issue, as Jerry Maguire says, show me the money. I mean, where were you during your time?
Well, actually, you see, I just happened to watch that movie again the other night, and it's not Jerry Maguire who says "show me the money." It's
right.
It's his client, the football receiver, who says "show me the money," whose name escapes me right now.
Well,
all right.
Cuba Gooding Jr.
That's right. Yeah, he played by him. Absolutely. Listen, any plans that you know of for any kind of, boy, would I love to see and be a part of. I'd be privileged to be a part of anything on Washington, any march, I've spoken to quote unquote Christian leaders or people of faith on this show and elsewhere, and I just had Billy Graham's grandson, who's a pastor himself, and asked him about this. Why not some massive march on Washington to defend Christians around the world? I mean, I think that would be huge. I think the turnout would be huge, but who and how to organize that?
It's difficult, and when I say it's difficult, it's not so much difficult to get the principal players there. The difficulty is getting lots of media attention for it. Look, they'll go cover the Million Man March.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, my gosh, NBC's Brian Williams will do 7 minutes at the top of NBC Nightly News with that. But good luck trying to get this covered in the mainstream media. Now, having said that, look, the principal players will be there. Ted Cruz was just there at the White House praying. I don't know if you saw this picture. We posted this. Praying with Reverend Patrick Mahoney and Reverend Rob Shen, some of these guys in the Faith and Action community in Washington, D.C., praying for the Coptic Christians, praying for the Christian persecution that's going on all around this country. He was praying for the Coptic Christians, praying for the Christian persecution that's going on all around this country.
If there's enough people, Dave, I think they'd have no choice. But anything, if a spark ever ignites, let me know, and we'll help perpetuate it into a fire.
Fair enough.
All right, take care, Dave. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
We'll speak to you again. David Brody, CBN News chief political correspondent, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Okay, folks, you want to weigh in? And if you do or don't, either way, we're going to also play you some Rand Paul from the other day talking about this very issue. And I think it's going to have to be, it should be addressed now. It should have been addressed yesterday. This show addresses it almost every day to one extent or another. Because for crying out loud, it's the right thing to do. It's absolutely the right thing to do. And the media, I'm sorry to say, that the media would only care if it were the other way around. If there was a small group of Christians somewhere in the Middle East that killed one Muslim family in the name of God, well, that would be the end. That would be front page. That would be headline. That would be day after day after day after day. Christian radicals, Christian extremists, Christian. But you got it going on every day, the other way around. And a media that doesn't care. They just don't care. That's all. That's the only way you could say it. Do you see it in the media every day? Do you hear it at all? No, they don't care. And I don't know. I would think every religion could unite against this and have a huge, the biggest rally ever at the mall in Washington. But not yet. All right, 877 Newsmax. That's the new number right here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Do you have trouble remembering things you've known for years? Do you want to maintain your mental edge, support your memory, focus, and attention? After extensive research, Dr. Russell Blaylock discovered 4 essential nutrients that help sustain optimal brain function. Dr. Russell Blaylock then personally formulated Crescio, the dietary supplement containing these 4 brain boosters that promote brain cognitive health, improve learning and retention. Crescio supports brain circulation and provides antioxidant protection. And now you can receive a 30-day supply of Crescio. All you pay is a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit Crescio.com/special. Act now and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, Nature's Brain Boosters, Essential Nutrients for Peak Mental Performance. Give your brain the healthy support it needs. Learn how you can receive your 30-day supply at Crescio.com/special. That's Cresceo.com/special. Crescio.com/special.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book.
Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks, and I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. You can finally have that room you've always wanted with our total basement finishing system. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again.
Call now for your free basement inspection at 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. Learn how to waterproof your basement now. Call this number, 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45, non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month, and this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50, non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month, and this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Credit card companies lure you in with low introductory rates or low minimum payments, and before you know it, you owe thousands of dollars in credit card debt. It has happened to millions of good people just like you. But here's the good news. Thanks to a powerful program now approved, anyone with $2,000 or more in credit card debt can cut their credit card payments up to half and even reduce or eliminate interest charges altogether. That's right. Our nationwide nonprofit program is helping U.S. residents cut their credit card payments. Call 800-613-3159 now. The call and information are free. We've helped over 500,000 people with their credit card debt, and now we can help you. Call 800-613-3159 to see how this powerful nonprofit program can work for you. Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Get free of credit card debt today. Call 800-613-3159. That's 800-613-3159. Again, 800-613-3159.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
Today I want to talk about something, though, that is serious. Today I want to talk about a war that the mainstream media is ignoring. From Boston to Zanzibar, there's a worldwide war on Christianity. Christian. Today I want to talk about something, though, that is serious. Today I want to talk about a war that the mainstream media is ignoring. From Boston to Zanzibar, there's a worldwide war on Christianity. Christians are being attacked around the world, but you won't hear much about it on the evening news because the answer's not convenient. It doesn't fit the narrative we have been told about radical Islam. The president tries to gloss over who's attacking and killing Christians. The media describes the killings as sectarian. But the truth is, a worldwide war on Christians is being waged by a fanatical element of Islam.
Yep, there's Rand Paul. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. It was so nice we had to start it twice. He took this subject by the horns, and he went with it, and he said a lot more. And let's get to cut number 30. Cut number 30.
Ever since 9/11, commentators have tried to avoid pointing fingers at Islam, which is somewhat fair. It is fair to point out that most Muslims are not committed to violence against Christians, but it's not the whole truth. The whole truth is, and we shouldn't let political correctness stand in the way of this truth, the whole truth is that there is a minority of Muslims who condone killing of Christians, but unfortunately, that minority numbers in the tens of millions. Pew Research did a poll, and it indicated that 21% of Egyptians, 15% of Jordanians, who are many Jordanians are our friend, but 15%, 13% of Pakistani Muslims find terrorism acceptable, if not laudable.
Wow. You better be quiet, Senator, because you're speaking the truth. How dare you say what they don't want you to say? How dare you say what they don't want any of us to say? You can't talk like that. That's hate speech right there, for crying out loud. The Christians that are getting slaughtered, too bad. You can't tell who's slaughtering them and why they're slaughtering them and how many approve of slaughtering them. Shh. Sit down and shut up. But he won't. And neither will I. And here's cut 31.
It's a minority to be sure, but if you add up the numbers in just 3 countries, it's over 40 million Muslims sympathize with violence against Christians. This shouldn't be understated. A Daily Telegraph survey indicated that there were 100,000 Muslims in Britain who fully supported the London subway bombings. 400,000 said they had some sympathy for these bombings. This is not a little problem, and it's not going away quickly.
No, it's not. And no, it's not. It's not going away at all. Not going away at all. I mean, what's the difference between Jews being slaughtered or Christians being slaughtered or Buddhists being slaughtered or Muslims being slaughtered? Shouldn't the world unite against any of that? Why do we have a president Why do we have a president who has now made it easier for the slaughter of Christians to continue and to perpetuate? In fact, to get worse in Egypt by cutting the military funding that we give Egypt. Because it's the military against the Muslim Brotherhood. It's the Muslim Brotherhood supporters that kill the Christians. So we're withdrawing support from the military. Makes it easier for the Brotherhood to kill Christians. That's what our president did. The same president who has us fighting alongside Al-Qaeda in Syria. Folks, if I had said in 2008 that if you elect this man, he will have us fighting alongside Al-Qaeda, he will have us taking away support from the defenders of Christians so the Muslims could kill them in Egypt, you'd say, you racist. What do you think, he was born in Kenya? You think he's a Muslim? No, has nothing to do with it. But look what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. Let's go on. Rand Paul, cut 32.
In Syria, there's an ancient Christian city called Malula, where they still speak Aramaic, the language that Jesus spoke. They're called Malula, where they still speak Aramaic, the language that Jesus spoke. They're Christians. The town was recently overrun by Islamic rebels. These Islamic rebels swore for Christians. The town was recently overrun by Islamic rebels. These Islamic rebels swore. Zakhem stood up and he answered them. And he said, I am a Christian, and if you want to kill me because I am, do so. These were Sarki's last words. Sister Carmel of Damascus said of Sarkis, his death is true martyrdom, a death in odium fidei, or a death in the hatred of faith. Make no mistake, this is about your religion.
Absolutely. And you know what, folks? It's about your religion, no matter what your religion is. It's about your religion, no matter what your religion is. Do I have to sit here and actually say they came for the Christians and I didn't do anything because I wasn't Christian? They came for the... Do I have to go through that whole spiel? They came for the Jews. I didn't do anything because I wasn't Jewish. Do I really have to continue that? I fear I do. I fear I do. Let's finish up Rand Paul one more, cut 33.
Elsewhere in Syria, Islamic rebels have filmed beheadings of their captives. They've filmed themselves eating the heart of their enemy. 2 Christian bishops have been kidnapped and 1 priest was recently killed. These rebels are allies of the Islamic rebels that President Obama is now arming. We are now arming Islamic rebels who are allied with Al-Qaeda that attacked us on 9/11. Does that make any sense at all? American tax dollars should never be spent to prop up a war on Christianity. But that's what's happening now across the globe. As Christians, we should take a stand and fight against any of your tax dollars funding any persecution of Christians.
And let me go one step further. As Americans, as Jews, as Buddhists, as atheists, as Christians, as anybody, as Muslims, we should all do the same thing. And we should all speak out and rise up. And when I say rise up, I don't mean with violence, against the killing of Christians around the world by radical Islamists. And how on earth does this president not only not say anything about it, but by his actions makes it harder for the Christians to survive in Egypt, in Syria, by us supporting the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt and Al-Qaeda in Syria? Was it within the realm of your psyche? Could you have possibly thought in 2001, in 2002, in 2003, that you would ever see an American president fight alongside, fund alongside weapons and training the people who blew us up on 9/11? It's happening. Ask yourself why, and you tell me your answer. 877 Newsmax. That's the number, 877 Newsmax. I'd love to hear from you, Steve Malzberg, on the Steve Malzberg Show, right here on Newsmax TV and radio. By the way, the Dow up 64, the NASDAQ up 23, the S&P up 6. Sorry, Democrats. Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Okay, this will interest anyone with diabetes or prediabetes. And what I'm about to tell you is pretty controversial, so you'll definitely want to consult your doctor first. But if diabetes concerns you, there's a website that you need to see at 99reverse.com. At that website, they reveal what they call the one weird spice that's probably in your kitchen right now and how it normalizes blood sugar levels. Now, what they say is people who have followed this plan exactly as found at 99reverse.com have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medications with their doctor's approval, of course. At 99reverse.com, you get 3 specific actions to take right now, today, to get your blood sugar under control in 4 weeks or less. Is it possible to reverse diabetes? Visit 99reverse.com and find out now. Check with your doctor, of course, because I'm not giving you medical advice here. But if you have diabetes or you're worried about your blood sugar, then I think the thing to do is to check out the website, and that is 99reverse.com.
Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that needs repairs and you don't know where to turn? Then call the Expert Network. They are the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. You can call 24/7 and they will come to you anywhere in the United States. They'll give you a loaner to use until they return yours in perfect condition. And your repairs may be covered by your Medicare or your private insurance, so there is little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. If your wheelchair or scooter needs repairs, call this special hotline now and learn how you can get door-to-door service on your repairs at little or no cost to you. Precision Repair Network. They'll get you moving again. Operators are ready to take your call right now. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. That's 800-978-4813.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. Congressional leaders are back at the White House today trying to reach a deal. Aides and sources say we are closer to a deal to end the government shutdown and avoid debt default than it looks, but it doesn't look all that great right now. And over the weekend, talks between President Obama and House leaders fell apart. The GOP continues to press for concessions for reopening the government, and the White House is having none of it. Now, the Senate seems to be the best hope for getting a deal done. There are still some big hurdles, of course. As part of any budget compromise, Senate Democrats are looking to roll back some of those across-the-board spending cuts we've seen, known as sequestration.
The shutdown needs to end, and the debt ceiling impasse needs to be dealt with and get past it.
I'm optimistic about the prospects for a positive conclusion to the issues before this country.
But Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell is not warming up to the Democrats' demands. Instead, he is endorsing a proposal already on the table from Senator Susan Collins of Maine. McConnell said in a statement that it has the support of both Democrats and Republicans. The Collins plan funds the government at its current levels for 6 months and raises the debt limit through the end of January. We'll see where that goes. But now more backlash, this time coming from angry veterans who tossed aside barricades. And we'll see where that goes. But now more backlash, this time coming from angry veterans who tossed aside barricades. Senator Ted Cruz, who helped lead the fight against Obamacare, which of course contributed to the government shutdown. Protesters shouted, quote, "tear down the walls," and also sang patriotic songs throughout the so-called Million Vet March.
We have had enough. We're out here for a multitude of reasons, but you shutting down the Veterans Memorial was the straw that broke the camel's back. You shutting down the Veterans Memorial was the straw that broke the camel's back.
A little sign demanding that President Obama be impeached. And on a more positive note, this weekend's Chicago Marathon provided one woman the chance to show the world her determination. Less than 6 months ago, Lee Ann Yanni was waiting for her friends near the finish line at the Boston Marathon when the first of 2 homemade bombs exploded just a few feet from where she was standing. She was badly wounded and did not know at the time if she would ever run again. But lots of hard work and rehab paid off, and she finished this race, the Chicago Marathon, over the weekend. Next year, she says she plans to return to Boston and run the marathon there as well. And India is recovering from a cyclone that hit this weekend. Officials say massive evacuations ahead of the storm helped save lives. However, at least 17 people have died. This cyclone hit eastern India, and authorities say it destroyed millions of dollars worth of crops. Well, coming up next on your Newsmax Now update, a bridge collapses in China. What happened right after this moment, and see what rescuers say helped keep everybody alive. Plus, a Newsmax exclusive with Congressman Randy Hultgren of Illinois next.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Wow, you look great. Thanks. I've lost some weight. What's your secret weapon? Actually, I do in fact have one. Really?
If you're looking for help in your weight loss efforts, remember this name, Metabio. It just may be the edge you've been looking for. Metabio is the nutritional weight loss breakthrough power-packed with 5 high-quality ingredients. Metabio supports healthy metabolism and promotes fat loss. It helps maintain your optimal weight and wellness when used as part of a healthy lifestyle. Now you can receive a 30-day supply of Metabio. Simply cover a $4.95 shipping fee. Visit themetabio.com/offer for complete details. Act now and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Practical Guide to Healthy Weight Management. Learn how you can try Metabio for 30 days at themetabio.com/offer. That's the METABIO.com/offer. Hurry, only while supplies last at themetabio.com/offer.
And welcome back. Check this out. At least 10 people were injured in China when a pedestrian bridge gives out. The collapse was captured on surveillance video. It happened Sunday in the Jiangxi province in eastern China. This area is popular with tourists in the mountains, but fortunately the water there is only about 6 or 7 feet deep, so rescue crews were able to get everybody out of the water without serious injuries. And during a Newsmax exclusive, we talked with Congressman Randy Hultgren. Even with the government shutdown, he says he's still worried about public schools. Hultgren says a federal effort called Common Core, which seeks to streamline standards and testing, is hurting students by limiting home rule of local school districts.
What we're seeing is tying dollars of race to the top dollars, also waivers from No Child Left Behind, the federal Department of Education, using that as leverage or a hammer against local districts or states to have to comply with this.
Stay with Newsmax TV and Newsmax.com. I'm John Bachman. Take care.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling toll-free 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Big Steve Malzberg Show. Bobby Valentine will be coming up very shortly here, former baseball player and manager and ESPN analyst. He's now athletic director at Sacred Heart University, and he's got a big documentary, sports documentary on college athletics airing Wednesday. We will talk all about that in just a few minutes. A couple of stories you might be interested in. We will talk all about that in just a few minutes. A couple of stories you might be interested in. Kansas anymore, though. Has outstanding arrest warrant. Yeah, that's what you like to hear. Kansas anymore, though. Has outstanding arrest warrant. Yeah, that's what you like to hear. Kansas. Let's see. Rosalind Wells, the Director of Outreach and Enrollment for the Heartland Community Health Care Center is the only full-time Affordable Care Act navigator in Lawrence. Wells was certified as an Obamacare navigator despite her financial history, which includes a bankruptcy in 2003, a 2007 civil charge from a local check-cashing business for writing a bad check, being more than $1,700 behind on her state tax bill, and having an outstanding arrest warrant in nearby Shawnee County. Congratulations, you are an Obamacare navigator. Insane. Insane or insane? Okay, here's another story. The mayor of Newark, Cory Booker, who's running for the U.S. Senate in a special election Wednesday, and you folks listening on WCTC 1450 AM in New Jersey know full well, U.S. Senate in a special election Wednesday, and you folks listening on WCTC 14, it says Cory Booker doesn't live in New Jersey. Never lived in Newark, I should say. Now, if this is true, you have the mayor of Newark who doesn't live in Newark running for the U.S. Senate from the state of New Jersey. What's wrong with that picture? What is wrong with that picture? Got it. As Cory Booker looks set to win the junior Senate seat from New Jersey, so it says, although the gap is closing. We'll have Steve Lonigan on tomorrow, his opponent, to talk about all this. His supposed neighbors in Newark say Mayor Booker, although the gap is closing. We'll have Steve Lonigan on tomorrow, his opponent, to talk about all this. That the longtime mayor doesn't live at any of the addresses he's claimed his home. The mayor is believed to live in New York, even though he is registered to run for New Jersey's special Senate election. Booker, who filed to run for the U.S. Senate from a P.O. box in Newark. Are you kidding me? That must be a pretty big P.O. box that he fits into. Is registered to vote at 435 Hawthorne Avenue. But his next-door neighbors told this reporter, Charles Johnson, from the Daily Caller, and filmmaker Joel Gilbert on camera, that they haven't seen Booker in years, and he doesn't live there. Does he still live here? Gilbert asked Booker's neighbor, Tasha Thomas. He never did, she replied. His security guards live here. Why did he claim to live there while sending police to be quartered in a private home? Because he's a liar, Thomas replied. Thomas yelled out to someone across the street, they're looking for that fake mayor who says he lives here. He does not live here. Then another guy with the name James Sharp, which is kind of ironic because the previous mayor of Newark was Sharp James. But this guy called himself James Sharp. He said, Cory Booker don't live here. Only his bodyguards live here. Why did he tell people he lived here, asked Gilbert, so that he could keep telling people he did stuff, but he's not doing anything. A lot of people getting killed, and he's supposed to stop the violence, but he don't. Thomas continued, he comes over here once in a blue moon. I saw that man over here once, and that was like 2009. I come here every day. So does Cory Booker live here? Live in Newark? If so, where? You know, there's a lot of unanswered questions. Does Cory Booker make up stories about people dying in his arms? About men named T-Bone that he supposedly befriends? Drug addicts that he befriends? Has Cory Booker ever seen an abortion he wouldn't ban? I don't know. Cory Booker has a lot of issues, I think, in making things up. So maybe he makes up an address. I mean, I'm sure he owns the place, but does he live there? How come nobody's ever seen him? Neighbors of his. All right, folks. For the answer to these and many other questions, stay tuned to the Steve Malzberg Show. When we come back, Bobby Valentine, former baseball manager, former baseball player before that, of course, and Valentine, former baseball manager, former baseball player before that, of course, and the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. SocialSecurity311.com. At SocialSecurity311.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security.com. We reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security, $1,000 to your monthly payouts. And other loopholes we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At SocialSecurity311.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says this website is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to SocialSecurity311.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's SocialSecurity311.com. SocialSecurity311.com.
Newsmax Magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary, tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary. First, here's a video clip from the award-winning documentary, Rendezvous with Destiny.
We're in the midst of a springtime of hope for America.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Impulses of an evil empire.
Tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54, with a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some, once a Democrat, then a Republican, a champion of smaller government whose own government grew, a fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
We only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what the leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, you'll find that out as well. So let's review today in this free offer. We are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax Magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th Birthday Commemorative Edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Go to newsmax.com/Reagan13 to subscribe today. Join the millions who read Newsmax Magazine every month.
Sure, Steve might be a bit of a hypochondriac, but he never gets sick of breaking news. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. Call Steve at 1-855-777-9660. That's 1-855-777-9660. Here's Steve.
Oh, coming in 3, 2... Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, Monday edition, and I am thrilled to welcome in my next guest. He's a man who I've known for many years, not that either one of us are that old. Former Major League player and manager in Japan, where he's a legend, not to say he's not a legend here, and now the athletic director at Sacred Heart. You used to watch him on ESPN, Bobby Valentine. Hey, Bobby, how are you?
Steve, when we were introduced, they should have given me your last name, the great Steve Malzberg.
Oh, there you go.
I would have known who I was talking to. Good to see you, bro.
Well, it's good to talk to you. It's been a long time. All right, first, before we get to, and this is great, and congratulations on the Sacred Heart job. I know that means a lot to you, and it's a natural transition into the documentary that you're executive producer of, which is called Schooled, The Price of College Sports, which is going to be premiering on Epix TV in just a couple of days. But I do want to get to the baseball playoffs. I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't. You were the manager of the Boston Red Sox last year. Turmoil. I mean, it reminds me in a way. I hosted the Yankee pre- and post-game show in 1990, the year they won like 67 games. And last year for the Red Sox reminded me of that. Different circumstances, but just what appeared to be, for me, looking in from the outside, complete and utter turmoil, tumult, chaos, whatever you want to call it. And now the Red Sox in the postseason, that amazing comeback last night. What are you thinking as you're watching the Sox and the Tigers?
Actually, as I was watching that, believe it or not, I knew it was going to happen. When, Leland brought in the left-hander to pitch to Ellsbury, and he walked him, I said, David's hitting a grand slam here, and this game is tied. And he did, and they tied it. They had 1 foot in the grave. They took that foot outside, and he did, and they tied it. They had 1 foot in the grave. They took that foot out.
Bernie ill will, are you rooting for them? I mean, how do you view it?
No, I'm rooting for them. I picked them to face the Dodgers, and that's another little problem I have out there. And another team I was with where I really thought they had the best team in the National League, and now they're down 0-2, so they're going to have to make a good comeback on their own.
Yeah, my heart's with Mattingly. When you saw Scherzer up to that, and then we'll get to your piece. Well, when Scherzer had him down after 5 2/3, no hit, 10 strikeouts after 17 strikeouts and 1 hit the night before. I mean, I'm sitting there thinking, my God, I mean, this might be historic in nature if he continues this.
Yeah, and after 108 pitches, he didn't continue, and the rest is history.
Yeah. All right, Bobby. Let's move on to the documentary. And this is something that the debate has gone on for a long, long time. First of all, one of the aspects of college sports is should college athletes be paid? But your documentary not only talks about that, it goes much deeper and much further.
Yeah, indeed it does, Steve. It's not the question that's being begged during this documentary. There are many questions, involving the rights of the players. And now that it's such a big industry, and now it's such an old system that is presiding over all of these players, I think that at least there should be a discussion about changing the system.
All right, how so? I mean, this is based on a Pulitzer Prize-winning piece by Taylor Branch, which was in the Atlantic, was called "The Shame of College Sports." Now, there are millions of people all across the nation, of course, that spend their weekends enjoying the pleasure of college sports. What is the shame of college sports, and how would you suggest that the whole industry, if you will, changes?
Well, Taylor Branch's book and his article dealt with the shame, but after we interviewed many more people, we cooperated with the president of the NFL Players Association, Dominic Foxworth, and we collected everything we can from both sides of the ledger. We were on campus. We interviewed chancellors and vice presidents, ex-vice presidents of the NC2A, and as well as many ex-athletes and others. We just came up with a thought. It's not necessarily a conclusion that some of the things that have gone on just aren't correct.
Okay, and such as what would you, Bobby Valentine, as the EP of this, after having produced this, and I don't want you to give away everything that's in it because we'll watch it on the 16th on Epix. But what's the biggest problem out there in the treatment of college athletes?
Well, it's probably just the false promise of thinking they're going to get a 4-year scholarship and thinking they're going to get an education. It's just. It's not what's out there. It's a 1-year contract that they get, not 4 years, and it's at the discretion of the coach whether or not they keep it. Whether or not they get an education during the time they're at school is really questionable. I mean, there's as you'll see in the documentary, there are systems and situations that were uncovered. One at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, where there were actually classrooms that the players never walked into, and yet they got an A or a B on the class, and it went on for years. So is there an education, or is there just a diploma? And are these rights of the players when they get injured or when they get disciplined, are they the rights that they should have? They're not the same rights you have. They can't get a lawyer and protest any disciplinary act that they might get. So let's just jump into 2013 with a system that can move forward and be beneficial to both sides.
We're talking to Bobby Valentine, of course, former Major League player and manager and broadcaster, and he's now the athletic director at Sacred Heart University and the executive producer of a documentary to premiere on October 16th. Today is the 14th, so that would make it Wednesday on Epix. So make sure you all check that out. But let me talk about the issue of pay. You know, the NCAA to me has always, I just think that in many ways, and this is talking about the athletes who do make it, the athletes who perform, the athletes who are on the field earning the accolades. I think the NCAA is much too restrictive in many respects. You know, if a kid talks to an agent, if a kid takes a donation or drives a car, or I mean, all these little things that they get penalized for that they're not allowed to do, while at the same time, in many respects, they're helping make millions of dollars for the university. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think that's brought out in the documentary and is factual. But the other side of that idea, or a complementary idea, is that these athletes don't even have the same rights as the other students on campus. You know, other students on campus who have scholarships can reap benefits of their abilities. Someone, an English major, could write a paper that is published in a journal and get paid for it, and they're a scholarship English student. But a football player can't write his name on a piece of paper and get paid for it.
Right.
So it's kind of weird that, and I think unjust that there's this discrepancy on campus.
No, lots to talk about. I can't wait to see it, Bobby, on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, folks, on Epix. So let me get your prediction going forward. First of all, any desire? I know you're at Sacred Heart, and I know you love that position. Is the door open for managing down the road?
I guess the door is open, Steve, but I'm doing a lot of things right now, and it'd be tough to get me, back doing just one thing. I kind of like all the things that I'm doing in my life now.
And I got one more. You may hate me for this, but this I know this nonsense with Keith Olbermann. Keith Olbermann, let me just tell you. I mean, to me, I have heard so many stories about Keith Olbermann, and did he keep you off of TBS, the baseball coverage this season?
I have no idea if he kept me off. All I know is he did take exception to the fact that I had an opinion when I was asked my opinion, and it seems like that's the only thing he's ever gotten paid for is his opinion. So, again, where's the justice?
All right, hey, Bobby, good to talk to you, man, and good luck. And are you writing a book? Because I had heard you were writing a book, Valentine's Way.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that done, too. I'm not sure that I have the time to make a deadline, but we're putting stuff down.
All right, well, we'll have you back when that comes out, if that's okay.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, Bobby, take care. Good to talk to you. Take care. Bobby Valentine, ladies and gentlemen, managed the Texas Rangers, the Mets, to the World Series, by the way, with the Mets in 2000. The Boston Red Sox, played for the Dodgers, California Angels, the Mets, the Seattle Mariners. He's a character. He's outspoken. It's gotten him in trouble. Who hasn't gotten in trouble for being outspoken? And this Keith, whatchamacallit, who did I just say? From on TBS, Keith Olbermann. He didn't like apparently a remark that Bobby Valentine made when he was asked something about 9/11. Said not enough Yankee players were down there at 9/11. During 9/11 to 9/21, the Yankees were not around. You couldn't find a Yankee down at ground zero. Talking to the guys who were working 24/7, and so Keith Olbermann didn't like that. Keith Olbermann to me, is a vicious, vile, disgusting left-wing lunatic who, if he were a conservative, just ask Rush Limbaugh, just ask me, would never be allowed anywhere near sports and the microphone. But because he's a left-wing lunatic, he's welcomed with open arms in the sports world, into sports broadcasting again and again and again. He has said horrendous, horrific things about President Bush, Donald Rumsfeld, our government when it was run by Republicans. Horrific things. Called them terrible names. But that's okay, as long as you're not saying it about the left. Disgusting. All right, 855-777-9660. Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Okay, folks, this is going to interest anyone with diabetes or prediabetes. And what I'm about to tell you is pretty controversial, so you'll definitely want to consult your doctor first. But if diabetes is a concern of yours, there's a website that you need to see, 99reverse.com. At that site, they reveal what they call the one weird spice that you probably have in your kitchen right now and how it normalizes blood sugar levels. Now, what they say is people who have followed this plan exactly as found at 99reverse.com have not only normalized their blood sugar, but stopped taking their diabetes medications with their doctor's approval, of course. At 99reverse.com, you get 3 specific actions to take right now, today, to get your blood sugar under control in just 4 weeks or less. Is it possible to reverse diabetes? Visit 99reverse.com. Find out now. Check with your doctor, of course, because I'm not giving you medical advice here. But if you have diabetes or you're worried about your blood sugar, I think you should check out 99reverse.com.
Do you suffer from joint discomfort? Contrary to what the experts may say, achy joints do not have to be a normal part of aging. Holistic doctor David Brownstein challenged conventional thinking to focus on natural solutions for joint health. As a result, Dr. Brownstein has recently developed Limbex, the premium nutritional supplement specifically formulated to support healthy joints and connective tissue. It's a new joint breakthrough formula containing 11 hand-picked nutrients. Learn more at limbexjoint.com/special and take the 30-day Healthy Joint Challenge. That's a 30-day supply of the Limbex Joint Supplement. All you pay is a $4.95 shipping fee. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Happy, Healthy Joints at Any Age. You can do something about joint discomfort and flexibility. Learn how you can try it for 30 days at limbexjoint.com/special. That's limbexjoint.com/special. limbexjoint.com/special.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop. Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Malzberg. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Malzberg's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast, and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-532-2967. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-532-2967. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-532-2967.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming, the shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5-ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The Silver Polar Bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking, and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. In a little while, we're going to be talking to Chris Cox. He's the owner of Cox Carvings in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. He took it upon himself to get a lawnmower and to mow the lawn and keep up the facilities around the various monuments in Washington, D.C. in the wake of the shutdown. He's an amazing story. And plus, he was at what took place in D.C. over the weekend with the Million Veteran March, where they took over and you know, the World War II memorial. They took down the barricades. They dropped them off in front of the White House. They had a police presence in front of them, basically, you know, overlooking them, threatening to arrest them. I mean, just insane what's going on. So we'll talk to Chris, but in a few minutes, any minute now, Chad, our fine executive producer, who lives in the city of brotherly love, informed me that in the state of Pennsylvania, all the liquor stores are owned by the government. And I said, what? And he said, yeah. So I said, all right, we got to talk about this. So Jennifer Airy, partner and Heart and Mind Strategies, joins us right now. Hey, Jennifer, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank
Good.
you.
Well, thanks for joining us. Okay, so explain this to me. I'm a guy who doesn't now. Hey, Jennifer, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank
Good.
you.
Well, thanks for joining us. Okay, so explain this to me. I'm a guy who does parts of the country that you know, something like liquor is owned or regulated in effect by the government, and not it's always regulated, but I mean, you can't have a private owner sell the stuff. It has to be a government facility.
That's right. In fact, it's not common at all. It seems quite obscure. The only other state to have a situation like this is Utah. That's it. Utah and Pennsylvania.
All right, so what is the purpose, in your view, of why is this the way it is?
That's it. Utah and Pennsylvania.
All right, so what is the purpose, in your view, of why is this the way it is?
The way that they would want it, or if they want the government to actually get out of the business of selling liquor and wine and spirits and put it into the hands of private retailers, and they do. I can't bring you back to the reasons why it happened in the first place. It's an antiquated system that doesn't seem to be modernized with the rest of the country in any means.
All right, so then why is it still in place when the polls show that I think a new survey shows that 66% of likely voters wanted to privatize, want to deprivatize the system? I mean, what is it? Is there a union involved? What do you think is behind it?
Well, some of the arguments that have been put out by what we would call the opposition, meaning those that don't want to change, are that it is going to cost 5,500 union jobs. Now, that argument doesn't hold up among the people of Pennsylvania because they realize that if you take those jobs away, you actually are creating more jobs in the private sector. You're creating more small businesses. And, of course, you're keeping money that goes across the state lines right now to buy liquor or wine in New Jersey or Delaware or Maryland. You're going to keep that money inside Pennsylvania.
Now, Jennifer, are all the prices, everything costs the same in every store since it's run by the state, or are there competing prices?
Well, there is not competing prices. What happens is just a few people decide not only what prices are set, but they decide what is purchased, what's offered to the people of Pennsylvania, which is something else that irks residents because they don't have the kind of selection or diversity that they would have if it was more of a free market system.
We're talking right now, very interesting, to Jennifer Airy, partner and Heart and Mind Strategies, here on the Steve Malzberg Show, about the fact that in Pennsylvania, all the liquor, wine and booze is sold through the government and not privatized at all. Is this ever been? I mean, I don't need to go back from the beginning, but is this an issue in elections? I mean, do Pennsylvanians feel strong enough about this that this has been an issue in statewide elections, and that has there been attempts in the legislature in the past, I don't know, 5-10 years to change this?
Well, there has been and there should be, and other things seem to get in the way. And another thing that we asked about in our survey was whether people would be more likely to support their state legislator if they were willing to favor this kind of measure to make the change, and they are. So there's some discrepancy going on here where the residents, from people who are clearly registered voters, people who are definitely going to vote in the next election, and even just consumers at large in Pennsylvania, they're all saying, the majority are saying they want something to happen, and for some reason the legislature just isn't listening.
All right. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on this and see what happens. Next time I have Rick Santorum on, I'm going to talk to him about this because I never knew about this, and maybe he could set me straight. But anyway, look, thanks for coming on and talking about it. I mean, is there anything people of Pennsylvania could do other than what they've been doing? Taking surveys, and maybe if they feel strongly enough, I'm sure they're calling their legislators. Anything else they could do? Is there an organized effort, a website, or anything like that?
Well, there is more information at the Commonwealth Foundation. You can go on their website. And
CommonwealthFoundation.org.
Yes,
yeah.
And I know Keystone Politics also keeps on this issue, so you've got this bipartisan effort that's trying hard to make a difference here. And I think they have to keep their voices up, and especially in this political climate, to show that there's an issue that Democrats and Republicans and independents across the board
could all agree on, right?
Exactly. Let's have a nice win.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you, Jennifer. Good talking to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Jennifer Airy, partner in Heart and Mind Strategies, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. I don't have any idea. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe I just haven't researched it enough, but I just don't understand. 70% of Republicans and independents, nearly 60% of liberals, and 55% of union households favored abolishing the state-run liquor monopoly. I mean, it doesn't affect me. I don't live there, and if I did, I don't drink much at all, so it wouldn't affect me at all either. But it just doesn't seem right. Let the free market take effect. It's a product. I'm sure it's going to be regulated by the government, like all other liquor sales and alcoholic beverage sales. But why the government controls this, I don't know. All right, folks, when we come back, we're going to be joined, as I said, by Chris Cox. He was at the event yesterday or was it Saturday, on the mall at the memorial for World War II veterans. He's also taken to mowing the lawns around these sacred places to keep up the upkeep, if you will, during the government shutdown. We'll talk to him right here when we return on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family.
Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already an Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today. Go to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
Larry works on the construction site when he's not held up with constipation. Mary sits all day at a desk, which does little to relieve gas and bloating. You can't schedule abdominal discomfort, but you can help alleviate it with Back2Pro. Developed by holistic medical doctor David Brownstein, Back2Pro is the fiber probiotic supplement that comes in the form of an easy medical doctor David Brownstein. Back2Pro is the fiber probiotic supplement that comes in the form of an easy immune function. Experience the results. Learn how you can receive a 30-day supply of Back2Pro. Just visit back2pro.com/offer. All you cover is a $4.95 shipping fee. Act now, and you'll also be given instant access to our downloadable special report, A Doctor's Guide to Probiotics and Your Health. Do something about your digestive health now. Get your 30-day supply at bactipro.com/offer. That's BACTIPRO.com/offer. Limited time /offer. That's BACTIPRO.com/offer. Limited time.
It could be forcing you to urinate frequently, even disrupting your sleep multiple times each night. You're not alone. Over half of men over 40 experience age-related prostate concerns. Fortunately, prominent medical doctor David Brownstein believes that aging prostate concerns are not inevitable. That's why Dr. Brownstein developed Prostate Revive, an advanced dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So men's dietary supplement containing a unique blend of 15 ingredients designed to promote optimal prostate health. So containing saw palmetto, beta-cytosterol, and numerous other prostate helpers. Just cover a $4.95 shipping and handling charge. Plus, if you act now, you'll also get a doctor's guide to a healthy prostate as a bonus gift. Please visit prostaterevive.com/radio for details on getting your 30-day supply of Prostate Revive and free report. That's prostaterevive.com/radio. Do something about those annoying age-related prostate concerns. Visit prostaterevive.com/radio now while supplies last.
A hot new book by Craig Smith argues that the greenback is now at high risk. Thanks to our spendthrift politicians, Mark Twain said the truth is stranger than fiction. The same is true of the Great Debasement, which began a century ago with the creation of the Federal Reserve and income tax. The result, today's dollar retains just 2 cents of its original buying power. Yes, progressive politicians have engineered the largest wealth confiscation in history, creating in essence a fourth branch of government. Learn what must be done to preserve your money if the dollar crashes, creating in essence a fourth branch of government. Learn what must be done to preserve your money if the dollar crashes. The good news is Swiss America is offering the Great Debasement, a $20 value free of charge.
800-818-3967. 800-818-39. 800-818-3967. 800-818-3967.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy.
Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com. Obamacare311.com. That's Obamacare311.com.
Get off the sidelines and be a part of the show. Call Steve toll-free at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. It was over the weekend that we had the scene at the Veterans Memorial, the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C., as veterans tossed aside the memorial barricades and dumped some of them in front of the White House, organized by Brats for Veterans Advocacy. It was a Million Vet March on the memorial, and among the people there were Sarah Palin and Senator Lee. Let's listen to a little bit of that.
Of the heart of America. Thank you for being here today, because we, the people, are determined to show the United States military, our esteemed vets, that the size of the heart of America for our vets is immeasurable. We are here to honor our vets. You look around, though, and you see these barricades, and you have to ask yourself, is this any way that a commander-in-chief would show his respect, his gratitude to our military?
This belongs to you. This
This does not belong to the government. It belongs to the people. Are we going to let them shut us out of what is rightfully ours? Will we surrender our freedom? Should
All
we
right.
give our...
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mike Lee. Sarah Palin joining us now is a man who was there. Chris Cox, owner of Cox Carvings, and a real patriot, a man who was not only there, but who has been doing some great work around various memorials, mowing the lawn and other things. Hey, Chris, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'm glad we could work it out with the logistics and the cell phone and all that. First of all, you were there over the weekend?
Yeah, I was there, and it was pretty exciting stuff.
You were there over the weekend?
Yeah, I was there, and it was pretty exciting stuff. We did from as far away as Seattle, Washington, helped me clean up trash for the day, and flew home. Had a family from Ohio that overheard it, and drove all night long so they could teach their kids about activism. And several hundred people showed up, and it was a true militia moving through the memorial, cleaning up, sweeping up, and wiping up, and it was pretty inspiring.
All right. Well, talk about you, because you're very inspiring as well. You've been doing this for quite a while now, since the standoff, and you took a lawnmower to the National Mall and began cutting the grass in the areas between the Lincoln and the World War II memorials for one. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, tell me how this all came about.
Well, it was October 1st. I think it was the first day of the government shutdown, and on the news they started talking about how vulnerable our memorials were, and I was concerned. I threw my here in a holding pattern, if you will, in Washington, D.C. I threw my bike in the back of my truck, and I went there, and to my dismay, it was a ghost town, and anyone could have spray painted the Vietnam Memorial or the Korean Memorial, and it was unacceptable. And I just hung out the first 2 nights on my bicycle, kind of just patrolling with my fingers near my phone. I realized later that I could play a more valuable role as a janitor. When's the last time you heard the word valuable and janitor used in the same sentence?
Well, no. I bet janitors are certainly very valuable. So you've been doing this. You've been doing this since then.
I have. I've taken 1 day off as a result. My body was kind of shutting down on me. There are hundreds of cans to be emptied, and, every day there was something new to do. And so, we just stayed on it. At first it was lonely, and now I have more company that I know how to handle. And it's been an overwhelming response. I was at the rally, and I was actually given an opportunity to address the veterans. It was very inspiring, and probably one of the highlights of my life to talk to that many veterans, a hero at a memorial in Washington, D.C., especially the World War II. And I actually wanted to see it stay more about the veterans and the memorials. It got, some people used it as a political platform to get their message across, when I would have liked to have seen it stay a little cleaner. But you got to expect to have rebel rousers in any time you're in a public forum trying to get your word across.
Yeah,
So
no.
that's the American way, and you can't blame them for that.
So where have you cleaned up or mowed besides the portion between those two memorials that I mentioned earlier?
Well, we've had our hands full. I haven't been fortifying grounds by the Washington Monument and so forth. I've had to pick an area and stick with it. So from the Lincoln Memorial to the World War II Memorial, and on each side of the Lincoln, you have the Vietnam, and then you have the Korean War Memorial. So I just really had to get to that area. I felt like the Lincoln Memorial serves as a moral compass for the world, and it's most vulnerable. It was just some vandalism done earlier this year by a woman who threw green paint on it. In the 70s, someone spray painted a derogatory comment on the back side of the Lincoln Memorial, where you would see it if you were going over the Memorial Bridge. We've had people try to poison our cherry blossom trees here. So we have a long history of some haters coming out and trying to make us look bad. And, we just wanted to try to prevent America from getting a black eye.
Well, kudos to you, and thank you on behalf of the people, Chris, for doing what you're doing. And, don't sell yourself short in any way, shape, or form. You're doing a great job and a real good thing.
I appreciate it. If I might add, Thomas Jefferson once said, I've never considered a difference of opinion in politics and religion and philosophy as a cause for withdrawing it from a friend. And we need to get back to that ideology. We need to embrace our adversaries because at the end of the day, we're Americans. But they got to learn how to compromise. They got to get over this case of low self-esteem that they're all suffering with, and then get over those egos and get on with some agendas and make it happen, because only 4 out of 5 people aren't being affected right now by this government shutdown. Well, that still leaves a minority, and we're Americans, and we are ones who rally behind a minority and try to make things equal. We all need an equal playing ground, and as Americans, it's our duty to see that we have that.
All right,
Thanks
Chris.
for having me on.
Good job.
Really
My pleasure. Thank you. Chris Cox, ladies and gentlemen, a man who lives in just outside Washington in Alexandria, Virginia, and South Carolina native, and decided he was going to do something, and he's been doing something. And he tried to sell it short, but what he's doing is just symbolically is huge, and he's actually really making a difference. Okay, I want to, I'm watching out of the corner of my eye CNN here, and they got Stephanie Cutter and Newt Gingrich, before Crossfire goes on, talking about the government shutdown, et cetera. And I happened to read on the closed caption. Stephanie Cutter says, new Washington Post ABC News poll just out today shows that Americans blame Republicans 2-1 for the shutdown over Obama. Really? Well, here's what I could find. The Washington Post ABC News poll. Yeah, Republicans get 74%. Let's see, disapprove of the way Republicans are handling the negotiations. But 61% blame the Democrats. Now, in polls like this that are usually tilted heavily in Democrats' favor, or as the Wall Street Journal NBC News poll was tilted not only in the favor of Democrats, but also with government workers, 74 to 63, 74 to 60, 61. Yeah, it's significant, but they're way up there. Both of them are way up there. Now, it says about the president, political independents are the most frustrated. 58% disapprove of Obama. Now, in the AP poll, they had 60% disapproving independents of Obama. That is huge. So 58% of independents disapprove of Obama. And the only thing here for a number for Obama is Obama's ratings for handling the budget negotiations. 53% disapprove. How is 53% twice 74%? In Stephanie Cutter's fictional lying world, it is. She said Americans in the poll, new ABC News Washington Post poll, blame the Republicans twice as much, 2-1, over Obama. And I'm telling you, I have it in my hand. They blame Obama, or blame the way they're handling the negotiations. 58%, let me get it straight, 53% disapprove of Obama, the way he's handling it, and 74% disapprove of the Republicans. That's not 2-1. I mean, to be 2-1, it would have to be 100 and, what did I say, 54 again? I'm driving myself crazy. It would have to be 106% of Republicans, blaming Republicans, not 75. But hey, fast and loose with the truth. That's the way it goes in many instances on the left. All right, I got another story here, and this is just par for the course, really, but I think you should know about it. Despite the government shutdown, guess who was vacationing at Camp David? And today, too, during this long weekend. See, they tell you Columbus was a crook, a murderer, a thief, phony baloney, didn't discover anything, the whole thing, right? But Joe Biden took a long weekend on the back of Christopher Columbus. That's right, I gave it away. Joe Biden vacationing at Camp David during the government shutdown. They know, that's K-N-O-W, no, that's N-O, shame. They know, no shame. What kind of optic is that? All I hear about Republicans is, the optic. You can't have old white guys yelling at Susan Rice. Not a good optic. Or little Lukey Russert says, oh, you can't have the date November 22nd to close, the debt ceiling going through there only as a raise because that's when Kennedy was killed. And that wouldn't be a good optic. Like, I don't even know what that means. But, what about the optic of the Bidens? And not only, it was Joe Biden, it was Jill Biden, children, grandchildren at the Maryland retreat known as Camp David. While hundreds of thousands of furloughed employees worry about how to make their next rent payment or mortgage payment, Joe Biden is living it up on our dime at Camp David. Stop picking on the Democrats, right? Yeah, I know. I'm wrong. They're right. Live it up, guys. Steve Malzberg on the Steve Malzberg Show, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Steve Lanigan will be here, among others, on the Steve